IPOs are 3x in 2020 compared with 2019. And the amount of funding that biotechs are getting in the marketplace is growing so rapidly. Why now? What's happening?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So I'm going to try to answer it by going through my personal perspective and growth, which I think is indicative of what happened in computational biology in the past 2 decades. Basically, when I started early 2000, I was working on cells, mostly in vitro cells. Then later started to move to data generated from animal models as we tried to study more and more diseases. And today what we see is that most of the data comes from human. We moved from studying cells to studying humans in a very short amount of time. And that's actually extremely exciting because the human is the real thing. We're suddenly are able to understand disease biology better. It's no longer models. Then if you look at what happened on the data side, early in 2000, when I started working, we generated most of the data in the lab. Some of it was online, but then it was quite limited. And then we started generating more and more data through robotics. We could make, like at Merck event 2009, we generated millions of data points in 3 months in a single experiment. And today we're actually getting massive amounts of data from patients. We took all these tools, all the technology, and started applying it to biopsies. Then on the technology side, what we saw is initially, at least, we studied a single cell. That's the next build. We studied a single cell by PCR. That's actually a single gene by PCR. That's how the genome was actually put together. And at some point, we were able to look at all genes, initially through microarrays, later through sequencing. And now we're even at a technology, we have a technology where we can look at a single cell from a patient. Imagine collecting thousands of cells from a patient and profiling each one individually. That provides tremendous value. And finally, on the analytics side, we started with using even Excel to analyze data from small experiments. And then the data became too big. We needed to analyze it using the computational tools to really write code. And now the data is so massive and you need so many skills that you really need a team of analysts to be able to handle it. So really what all of that comes together, if I bring it back to your question, what is happening now? If you look at the outer circle, we have a really high resolution technology. Generating the data is not so expensive. We can do this from patients and we have the analytical capabilities.